Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. You were with us last week and we had a discussion with Tracy and she was telling us about how she lost her child. But in this episode, we want to understand how she actually coped and how she went through it. And she has so much to share with us. You want to stay tuned. So, from your story, what would you love other mothers to know, and to just pick to learn something?
So directly after my daughter died, before she died, a word came to my mind, ATA. ATTA. It's a combination of my initials and her initials. She was Alisa Taha, I am Tracy Ahumuza, which is, so that day, the day she was born is when my mother named her Marie, but throughout the pregnancy she had just been Alisa.
Yeah. So
she was Alisa Marie Taha. So I founded the Alisa Marie Foundation, but ATA is a breast milk community that I set up straight after. After doing a lot of research, after doing a lot of reading, and realizing that in the moments after my daughter died, of course, the breast milk didn't just disappear.
That's something, yeah.
It didn't just go.
Yeah.
But they'd given me pills, right?
To swallow so that
it stops dries coming? Up the milk.
Oh, okay.
It's called a certain pill, bromocriptine, I think. They give you this tablet and it dries up the milk. And I was thinking, wait, no, I don't want to take tablets. I want to breastfeed. Is there a baby that needs this milk?
Yeah, because you knew how important it was.
Yes,
after going through that.
After going through all that, I'm like, you're willing to just dry me up, and yet there's a mother somewhere out there who probably doesn't have milk. We know I'm good. You know I've been tested for HIV. You know I've been tested for hepatitis B and syphilis and all of that, and I'm clean. Why are we just giving me tablets? Why can't, if I want to breastfeed, if I want something good to come out of this horrible situation, can I not express this milk? And they said, no, you see, you have to go to the hospital, and then they test you, and then they had just tested me. You have to go to the hospital, they test you, then you express, but you only express for the baby who needs it in that moment. So now I have to look for a baby who needs to lactate.
Okay, so because there was no storage bank or something?
There is no milk bank in Uganda yet. Milk banks are saving babies all over the world. Please note, our neonatal mortality rates, the number of babies that die today is the same number of babies that have died in the past 20 years.
So nothing has changed.
Nothing has changed.
We have not learned from anything.
I was like, how? How are we like there are babies who are dying because maybe they were fed on formula before their digestive system organized itself properly.
Yeah, and speaking of that, I think later you realized or you found out that the reason why they couldn't give the formula, just let us know.
So they can't give formula to a baby, first of all, who has gone under operation, who is premature because their digestive system hasn't developed to a great, to be able to digest anything other than breast milk. That's why they insist on donor milk, right? They insist that you bring someone else who is lactating to give the milk. But please, I didn't know all of this.
They didn't mention
before. Like if we had known all of this, I could have had that mother on standby in case my milk does not show. Like if we had done the golden hour and the milk hadn't still come,
tell us more about
we could have
golden
planned.
Hour.
Yeah, so golden hour is basically where that first hour, immediately you give birth, they put the baby on your breast. So these are things that should be discussed, because I know that for normal births or for C-sections or for not normal, vaginal births, the mother is under a lot of duress.
Yes.
She's tired. She's fed up. She just wants this baby out and then she wants to rest. But if we discuss these things before, like during the pregnancy, during these antenatal classes, which I had none of, by the way, first of all, maybe because of the pandemic, but because they kept telling me antenatal I went for antenatal, what I thought were antenatal classes, but they're just visits. You go to the doctor, they take chests, scan, done. You're fine, go.
Yeah.
But no one is actually telling me about the possibility that, pregnancy doesn't end in just that third trimester. There's a fourth trimester,
yes,
where you need to breastfeed, where the baby has to be held a certain way,
has to latch,
it has to latch, and it doesn't come naturally. And breastfeeding doesn't come naturally for a lot of mothers. Breast milk doesn't just come. I didn't know all of this. So now I set up this foundation because after searching to give milk away, I had to just swallow the tablet. Because I was saying I had to drive to the hospital. But abroad, I checked everywhere. You can, if they give you the right information, you can express milk from the comfort of your home. Please no. Why would I want to go to a hospital where there are pregnant mothers, that there are babies screaming everywhere when I've just lost my baby?
It's not a good environment.
I'm going through a lot of trauma. I don't need to be in a space that is going to trigger me. So I would want to have been able to do everything from home, send the milk, and you tell me, okay, it fed maybe 20 babies. Yeah. So now I first of all started talking about breastfeeding a lot after that. It was breastfeeding week around the time you met me.
Yes.
And I was campaigning for breast milk and the importance of it and how nothing beats breast milk. Nothing. I know that a lot of people have survived with formula and it's great, but formula is expensive. Formula
not everyone can
is
afford
not
it.
It's not, it doesn't come natural. Breastfeeding is cheap, guys, and it's the cheapest thing. It's the most natural food system that exists. It is built to sustain the child, to treat them. You've heard that breast milk sort of changes according to what the baby needs.
Yes, yeah.
I was like, why aren't we harnessing this? If babies have died the same way they have for 20 years, if our neonatal mortality rates, the same number of babies have been dying over 20 years, why aren't we doing something new? So I looked up doctors, I looked up people who are talking about these things, because you never know about donor milk until you actually need it.
Until you need it, that's true. I'd never heard of that before.
No, if you haven't had a premature baby and your breast milk has not established itself and they tell you bring another lactating mother, you don't know these things.
You don't,
And obviously, when you have survived it, you're thinking, I'm done with that. Now moving on. So no one really ever talks about what happens after. So now I'm very keen on making sure that, and since the foundation was set up, we've been able to help maybe about 15 babies in the space of 2 months.
Okay, so what exactly does the foundation do?
Okay, so because obviously there's no breast milk bank in the country, and doctors insist, or pediatricians, they'll tell you bring breast milk, but where are you going to get it, right? So what we do is we match mothers who don't have milk, or babies who don't have milk, to mothers who have milk. Yeah, so it's like an Uber system. You call us, we find you a mother who is near you. So we have mothers who've signed up since. So what happened is the first person who reached out to me had quadruplets. Normally with multiples, babies will come early, and which means if they come early, the mother's milk will most likely not have established
and
themselves.
Still, even if it has come, it's not enough for all.
4 babies. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Are you going to produce enough milk for 4 babies at once, yet they are premature? So I reached out to a friend of mine. No, I sort of threw the message out there to my Facebook family. I said someone needs milk. I told my story about how I had searched for milk and failed to find it. And how donor milk had helped my daughter, how it had made me less stressed to be able to produce milk. So we reached out to on Facebook, and a former schoolmate of mine said, I have been there.
I know.
I have needed blood for my baby. Me, I always have milk. I don't have blood issues, but rather milk issues, but I've needed milk before, and the kind of blood that I was looking for at the time was very hard to get. She's an O minus
blood. Okay.
Yeah. And she's like, no, I am willing. This is something I have in nature. I have in plenty of. So I connected them to the family. I connected her to the family. I told her, call this family member. She called them. They went, they had her tested. And then she said donating human milk to them over the course of like a month and a half.
Oh, okay, like she keeps
daily
pumping.
Please. They go, they pick the milk, they bring it to the baby in hospital. They pick the milk, they bring it. Then the children were discharged from hospital. They grew and they were discharged. And then this mother that was donating milk lives in Seguku. The dad and his family and the babies, the twins, the triplets, quadruplets, they live in Impererwe.
That's far.
This guy was driving daily from Impererwe to Seguku every day to pick up milk. That's why our system is designed to have mothers in your area. So if you call me and you say I'm in Seguku, I'll get your mother in Seguku.
Okay.
Yes. If you call me, you say you're at Nsambia Hospital, I'll try and get mothers within the Nsambia area environs to donate milk to you. So that again, this is a time when a lot of money is being spent. You don't want to again now start spending transport,
trying to
you need to be with the family. You need to be supporting the mother to produce milk. And so so I got in touch with neonatologists. There's a breast milk bank that is supposed to be set up. It's in the process. It's going to take a while.
That's nice.
But breast milk banks need a lot of work. And also, if it's a private milk bank, they're going to charge people. So I said, milk is free.
Yeah.
Milk is milk. I mean, this is a naturally occurring. It's like nsenene. Okay, no, nsenene we have to search.
You have to wait, man. You
have to search for them. It's a naturally occurring thing. And it's also, if a mother is willing to donate milk, if I am grieving and I want to make my baby's milk come to something.
Do something.
Yes, if I've lost a baby, and a lot of mothers are losing babies, by the way. So if a mother says, I want to give the baby milk, she should be able to do it. So then we are now working on that. We're working on being able to test mothers. So we try to make sure that they donate within a certain window, just for the safety of the child, right? Because statuses change.
Today I'm healthy, tomorrow
I might not be. So we want to test the mother like today. We have her donate all the milk she can, maybe between 10 days. We get that milk, we pasteurize it.
Okay.
So pasteurizing would, in any event, kill whatever has passed through if we didn't catch it, like maybe germs or bacteria or whatnot. And then keep it and then give it to
the baby
on demand. So we don't have to look for a mother when the baby needs milk. We actually have the milk stored.
Okay.
But it's a very expensive process. Well, it's an expensive thing. So that's why we're doing a fundraiser to buy a simple machine, really. It's probably like this big. But it pasteurizes the milk. So it catches whatever might have gone through. So temperature, it's basically the way we treat UHT milk or whatever. I don't know. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah. But that's such a great thing. I feel like, so from what you went through, you're doing so much for mothers out there that need it.
Not enough.
But it's a start. And I really wanted you to come here to share and let people know what the possibilities. Because I did know about donating milk, and people need that awareness to let them know it's okay if all tests are done. That kind of awareness is not there. I didn't know about it.
And you know what really shocks me is that doctors will tell you get the breast milk. While you're in hospital, they'll probably support you to make sure it's handled well, to make sure that they're expressing it properly, to make sure that it's stored well. When you go home, they'll tell you get breast milk, and there will be no support after that. So many families are just going to relatives that they trust and saying, please, feed this baby
for me.
But have you tested?
Exactly.
Have you tested this mother? We are in a pandemic, a slow motion pandemic of HIV for the last 35 years or so.
You don't know.
You don't know. But at the end of the day, the benefits far outweigh the risks of not giving this baby milk. You want this child to live. The chances that if you don't give them breast milk, they will die from not getting the breast milk. So, and also there's ways that now there's something that is called flash pasteurization. So initially when they started, when breast milk banks were such a big deal back in the day, even in Uganda, I've spoken to some doctors who are there, they used to do breast milk banking back in the day. But what they when HIV came, they stopped. They got scared and they stopped. But they have learned things along the way. I was just speaking to a doctor yesterday who heads one of the units in Mulago for babies. And she was saying, we have learned so much since. We've discovered that if you heat pasteurize this milk, if you do flash pasteurization, so it's sort of temperature treatment, it keeps most of the things still in there, the immunological benefits for the baby, but it kills virus. So they realized that we can still do this.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no reason why we should be losing babies. And so it's being done anyway. But it could be done easier. It could be done better. Mothers are not being families actually. I know that a lot of men are not involved until the baby starts walking.
Yes.
They don't want anything to do with a tiny thing. And breast milk makes them squeamish. For some people, men don't want to talk about breast milk.
My friends, your boob, they no longer even want to look.
Yeah, it's just this, you're a flask, you're a conduit.
Yeah.
So I feel like men need to be a little bit more involved. So for example, one of the mothers who needed a donor, this is why the community exists, so that we can first do all those questions before a mother finds a donor. So we help you because this is a period of distress. You reach out to us, you say, I need a donor. We already have donors who we've asked questions. We've asked them about possible piercings, about their partner's behaviors, about if their partner is okay with them donating milk. We've asked them about maybe their food choices. Have they taken HIV tests right before we do it again? Their status, have they been positive for anything in the past? And they're truthful about the things, or it's an honor. It's like being a doctor. It's an oath that you take. So I remember one of the mothers reached out to a random person. The person said, yes, I'm willing to donate. She called this person, took them to hospital, had them tested. Because this hospital insisted on the person coming to test from the hospital, then going home to donate milk from there, which doesn't make sense to me. I mean, the milk is more important than the testing. You could have tested from home, she comes and donates from the hospital. So they insisted on all these things. And she came, she was tested, she went back home. She said, expressing milk. The husband said no.
Challenge.
Husband said no. Don't give people milk. And
for whatsoever reason.
Yeah, he had his reasons, and it's normal. It's okay.
It's okay.
It's okay for the person not to want. But these are questions that we should have screened before a mother goes through the trouble of testing you, of bringing you to a hospital during a pandemic, lockdown. And then she came back to me and told me, Tracy, I need a donor. Do you have someone who is available? And I said, yes. We have someone who has been on standby. She's waiting. Just get in touch with her. And this mother was willing to go to the hospital to be tested and brought back home and donate milk. And now that baby is big. He's grown. He's still breastfeeding on. He's still feeding on this donor mother's milk though. Because obviously his mother's milk hasn't yet established. But then what we do also, because of the team that I have, that is part of the Atta breast milk community, the team has a neonatologist, a lactation consultant. These are all volunteers, by the way.
Oh wow,
they're all doing these things. They have day jobs. I have a day job as well, but we've decided this thing is bigger than us.
It's important.
It's important. We need to be reducing them.
It's a life and death
Yeah.
actually situation.
Yeah, and the neonatologist who we work with is in Mbale Hospital. She's been saving lives with breast milk. So what they do for them, they look for mothers on their ward. They tell them, please, some milk, some milk, some milk, and then they give it to the babies who need the milk. So of course these are mothers they've tested, they know their status, they are there in the hospital. So they get the milk from them and they give the babies. And she has reduced the mortality rate in that hospital over the course of she's only been there maybe 7 years. But the benefits are there. She's written papers on people willing to donate milk, but people not knowing that it's
possible.
It's possible, or that it's safe, or that it's available. We've been wet nursing for centuries. As human beings, as Africans, you would give birth to a child, you go to the farm, you find your grandmother has fed her.
Yes.
So
I heard about that stuff.
and there are people who stop breastfeeding and then they decide to relactate, and it's difficult, but it's done.
It comes, yeah.
Like the milk can stop, and then you put the baby back on, and then it start
comes.
breastfeeding again. So the benefits are immense. I feel like there's a lot to learn as a society, as a community. We need to educate ourselves on the possibilities. But also, while this is happening, we need to buy that machine.
Okay.
We can't wait.
All right, so you've talked about a pasteurizing machine. You need one. How can we help? How can they help you?
So how can you help? How can the people watching this help? So basically, we found out about this machine that is standardized. It works in milk banks all over the world. We can pasteurize this milk, we can save it, and then be able to... We can't safely pasteurize milk. I mean, it's going on, but we can't safely store milk unless it's pasteurized. That's why we have that incidence where people are traveling back and forth every day to get raw milk. I mean, the longest you keep the milk is maybe 3 days and then give another mother. But then there are different ways to do the pasteurization. So what we want to do now is to buy this machine. It's about £6,700, but this is from a quotation that Dr. Kathy, the neonatologist, Dr. Kathy of Mbale Hospital, she did this quote because she tried to buy this machine in 2019. So please note, pandemic costs.
Exactly.
Yeah. Dollar and the things. So we want to buy that machine. But what does buying that machine also mean? It means that we need to buy cooler boxes to make it as easy for our donors to donate as possible. We need to be able to test mothers from the comfort of their home, to educate them on donating milk from the comfort of their home. They don't need to be able to, why should they be able to go, why do they need to go to hospital if we have people we have telemedicine where people go to your homes
and give you medicine and things like that.
Yes. So we want them tested at home. We want freezers because this milk has to be stored minus 25 degrees Celsius.
Wow.
For optimum, to make sure it lasts longer. So there's a lot that we need to do. So we quoted ourselves at about maybe 50 million, which is about £10,000. We want to raise that. So we started the fundraiser during breastfeeding week. When they told me 50 million, because we have someone who deals with the numbers, she said 50 million.
Like, what?
So when we were seeing £6,000, 6,000
seems like
I was like,
that one we can
we put it out. We can. This is throwaway money, and by the way, this is throwaway money for the government.
It's
a sterile-feed pasteurizer doesn't need a building. It doesn't need a big room. It doesn't.
So you guys, we can do something, because I was seeing on Instagram you're trying to share a lot of content about it. Where can they find you on Instagram, first of all?
So if you search anywhere on social media for the Atta Breastmilk community, we are on Twitter, which I'm still trying to figure out how to use. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. I try to put there the stories as well of the babies that we've been able to help. Very soon we'll be going, because the need is not just, so far we've been working with the likes of you who have jobs, who have, but there are mothers in Kawempe Hospital who are struggling, whose babies are literally starving.
And they don't even know who to ask.
They don't have family. Maybe they came from please not, during the pandemic, how many babies were born because of lockdown? There's so many pregnant people. You can only be a woman. So there's so many mothers who've given birth during the pandemic. There's so many things that have happened. You might not have been able to eat right. Maybe you didn't prepare properly.
Yeah.
You need support. So we're working on encouraging the use of safely donated human milk to use it as a temporary measure so that mothers can be supported by a lactation consultant to establish their own milk supply. Because it's very dangerous to use anything else on a baby, especially those premature and sick ones.
Yeah.
And the strangest thing about breastfeeding is that when it gets difficult is when it's actually the most important
time.
Yes. When a baby is sick, when a baby is premature, that is when you need the milk the most. But this is when the nurses or the person is more likely to say, you guys just feed them anything. But
formula, glucose, anything.
Anything. But think about it. These babies, if you use water, are you going to boil the water? Are you 100% sure that the bottle that you're moving it from to the bottle that, there's
a lot.
There's a possibility of so much contamination that it makes more sense to get something that is already made, that is ready to consume. It's a one-stop center, really, that exists. It doesn't need water added to it. It doesn't need anything added to it. And yeah, you might say that I'm not a professional, but that's why I've armed myself with
all these people supporting you.
All these people talking. Yesterday, we even had to apply for a grant because money is going to be hard to get.
Yeah.
We're raising funds. We're asking people to do this thing that they have no idea about.
No clue.
We are going out on a limb and asking you to trust us. I have pictures of the machine. I can share it with you. It's really undaunting. When you look at it, you're like, this is the thing that costs.
But the work that it does.
So, for example, we've gone for the smallest machine, right? It pasteurizes 3 liters of milk every time it works. And it doesn't take long, really. But please note, 3 liters of milk can feed 600 babies.
What?
That one, in those 4 hours, 600 babies can be fed by the milk coming from this machine. And we have a lot of questions. We have people saying it's not safe to do this. It's not. There's evidence.
It's just lack of information.
Yeah, there's evidence that breast milk donation works. In fact, the WHO says that breast milk is the most important thing. That's why they say early initiation of breastfeeding, exclusive breastfeeding for 6 months. They encourage all of this. But they also say that if that milk is not available, the next best thing is milk from another mother. But it needs to have been safely donated.
Yeah.
So there are people who are donating milk today. But is it safe? I mean, yes, it's saving lives. We are doing everything in our power to make sure that it's safe. But it can be done better. It can be safer. You can be educated on this. We don't want you to get to a point where you only find out about this when your child
you need it at that moment.
When your child is dying.
And that's why we are here. And that's why I brought Tracy here, to let you know that a lot is possible. Yeah. You have breast milk, another mother needs it, you could save a child. Yes. So I'm going to leave all the links in the description, her Instagram, so that you can see how you can actually do better, how you can donate, how you can reach her, how you can support her. It may not even be, funds. Maybe you know someone who knows someone who can help.
Who can do something.
As in, the networks are just, there is so much you can do. Yeah. So I'm very excited that you came onto the channel.
Yeah. And maybe one last thing I would say, that even if you decide, even if you were to decide that maybe you don't have money to to give us, or maybe you don't have breastfeeding, it's because we need storage bags to transport this milk and all of that. But what can you do? You can find out about breastfeeding, find out about what it does for people, read, educate yourself on breastfeeding. There are some organizations, I'll share them with you, maybe you can link them so that people can read about them. But also, let's breastfeed. The more mothers that are breastfeeding, the more donors we can get.
That's true, because if I breastfeed for longer, I have more milk, I
Yes.
could be a potential donor to another mother.
Yeah.
Wow. So Tracy, do you have any last words that you'd like other mothers to hear, to learn, to know?
I didn't know how important breastfeeding was until obviously I couldn't breastfeed. I didn't know. And I don't like that I didn't know. So what I would like to share with mothers is that breastfeeding doesn't come easily. It's difficult, it's hard, and I'm amazed by how few people talk about the difficulties of pregnancy, because I think if we could speak more about how difficult it is, then maybe it would be easier to handle some of the things, right? If I knew that I was going to have carpal tunnel syndrome, for example, that's when your hand is barely working towards the end of your pregnancy. Your hand hurts, like I can't close bottles. No one told me about these things. I think it's important to talk about these things more. Breastfeeding, I think you need to prepare mentally before you give birth, that this is something that is hard and this is something that I need to do. And then it will help you. And then also ask about the golden hour. Ask about the golden hour. Ask the baby to be placed on your breast, especially if you intend or you would like to be supported to breastfeed. Because breastfeeding, you can't do it alone. You have to be, you need a lot of support. So I would say that is what I want mothers to do more. Ask for help. Ask questions. Insist on what you want. If you want to breastfeed, be allowed to breastfeed. Get the support you need to breastfeed. If you don't want to breastfeed, that's also your choice, right? Of course, to the safety of the child, within reason. Yes. Breastfeeding is natural. It's good. It's very useful for your child. It is the one thing that supports all the sustainable development goals, but that's another story for another day. We won't get into it.
All right, so what about moms who have lost their babies? What encouragement can you leave for them? What do you have to tell them? Because it's a tough time and I know you're still going through it. What would you love them to know?
For mothers who've lost their babies, I'm sorry, Mama. I'm sorry I am so sorry you're going through this. There's no word for a parent who loses their child. We have now angel moms. That's what they call us. But I only found out about this after I had lost my child. It's like this privileged club that you belong to that you don't know. So reach out, speak to people if you need to. Take care of yourself. They tell you about the 5 stages of grief, about acceptance and anger and all of that. There is no order to this grief. You will be angry today, you will accept the next day, you will cry yourself to sleep, you will sleep on the floor, you will need to do certain things for your soul. And take all the time you need. Let no one tell you that you need to grieve for a specific period of time. The sooner it gets out, the better. That's what I think anyway. Cry all you need to. If you want to be there for the funeral of your child, be there. Do everything that you feel you need to do in that moment. Get all the support you need. But especially speak to someone. Speak to someone. It helped for me. See a therapist if you need to. That's all I can say. Really.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. And something that worked especially for me, I would say, is I don't know if you're a Christian or if you read your Bible, I would say pray. And pray throughout the pregnancy. You know, there's that verse, I can do everything through Christ who strengthens me. And by everything, I mean everything. I can lose a child. I can get through losing a child. So pray. I'm angry at God. I'll tell you that. There's times when I've been angry. I've told him why I didn't even ask for this child. You gave me the child and you took them away. So there's going to be anger, and it's okay. And I think God understands that you're pissed. So be angry at him, but talk to him, but pray. Oh my goodness, pray. There's verses that I never knew about. That God comforts us so that we are able to then comfort others with the same comfort that he has given us.
You, yes.
And that is in Corinthians somewhere. I'm not yet able to quote verses. But that's why we are here. I've lost a child. I'm not the first person to lose a child. I'm not the first person who's lost a child. So reach out to others. Reach out to someone. You'll be surprised how many people will reach out to you and say, girl, I lost my baby too. She died. And being able to see that another person has gotten through it will give you some strength. It doesn't help entirely. I mean, I've looked for people who went through the exact same thing I went through. I wanted to find out, is there someone who had an omphalos baby who lived and then the baby died and then they're not there. In fact, the person who I found who reached out to me said, my baby survived. My baby had the same condition as yours and she's now 5 years old. But then I know that I did everything in my power.
Yeah.
I'm like, you see, babies live. And it's hard to go through a pregnancy where you know there are complications. So get all the support you need from the beginning.
And all the knowledge.
But you can't get everything.
And you can't finish all the information.
You can't finish it. So that's why you need the support.
Yeah.
You need as many people on your team as possible. Don't just let the doctors do everything.
Yeah.
Have people who are questioning like you. And do your research. But don't die in Google. You people Google.
Google will kill.
Yeah,
finish
Google.
you. Yeah. So thank you guys. Please reach out to Tracy on Instagram. She will be of help. You need her.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here. I'm excited that I'm sharing this with you. I had no clue about milk donation, and I'm so excited that Alisa's story has brought something, you know. Like, I'm so sorry about what you went through, but I see some hope, and another baby could be saved because of this breast milk.
I hope so.
Thank you for sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Guys, please donate. Please support our community. We really need you to do this. My name is Lisa Kusima, and I'm here to inspire.